Welcome to lesson 6.5. Today we're going to be finding the percent of a number. This is what we've been building up to. So in the previous lesson we did some estimating. So we were trying to find, for instance, if we had 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at this school taking a field trip, there were 575 students attending. How many are 6th graders? We estimated. So here's a graph, and 6th graders are in green, so it's about 36%. So in our last lesson, we would have said, well, let's see, what are some compatible numbers? And I like maybe 600. Okay, and we want to find maybe a 36% is close to 33 and the third percent, or 1/3, right? That's really what I'm looking at. And so that would be about 200 as my estimate. So here is a double line here, and they did a third there. Okay, so that's 200, and that's 400. Of course, we have 600, and there's my estimate. But what if we wanted to find the exact answer? Well, we can do that. We just have to do a little bit of rewriting what this looks like. So you might recognize, like, if we have groups of something, like 30%, 36% of a group of 575, well, groups of is multiply. Groups of is multiply. And so the other thing to recognize is that 36%, 36 per 100, 36 hundredths can be written like this. Okay, groups of multiply 575, and now I have a problem that you're pretty familiar with, 36 hundredths times 575. So I'm going to do that math over here on the side. And don't forget to move your decimal point over 2 places. 1, 2, and I get 207. So 36% of 575 is exactly 207, which is close to my estimate of 200. In this next problem, now we have 68% of the 575 students attending this field trip being boys. We're not going to use this double number line. First of all, they called it 1/3 of a percent. That's crazy. We will do some estimating, but that's it. So anyway, for my estimate, I've got 70%. I got 68% of 575, and I'm going to say that's about 70% of 600. Okay, and so 10% of 600 is 60, right? 10%. So I'm going to think this on the side. 10% is 60. It's my thought bubble. So 7 groups of that is 7 times 60 is 420. So my estimate is 420. It's not the exact answer, but it's an about answer. Now for the exact answer, again, I have my 68% of 575. And 68% is 68 per 100 is 68 hundredths of groups of, that's multiply. And I've got 68 hundredths times 575. Well, doing that math on the side. Doing that, my exact answer is 391, which is reasonably close to 420. All right, now we're going to be looking at a slightly different way. It says Dwayne plans to wallpaper 72 and 5/10% of a 60 square foot wall. How many square feet does he plan to wallpaper? So I just need to change this to decimals. Groups of is multiply. Very simply, we have 725,000 times 60. Having done that calculation, I find it's 43 and 5/10 square feet. The next problem is asking you to find 8/10 of a percent of 35. So you got to change 8/10 of a percent to a decimal and then multiply it by 35. Give it a shot. We'll talk about it in class. Okay, for this next part, instead of finding the percent of something, we're going to be finding the actual percent. So what percent of 92 is 11 and 5/10? Let's break that down. Here's sort of a pseudo writing math way. P, it would be the percent. So what percent of 92 is, that's an equal sign, is 11 and 5/10? So I have 92 times P. 92P is 11 and 5/10. And just like we learned earlier in the year, I can get rid of a times 92 by dividing both sides by 92. And when I do that, I get P is whatever 11 and 5/10 divided by 92 is. Let's do that. Do that math, I get 125 thousandths. The next one's for you to try. It's a very similar question. It says, what percent of 120 is 72? So some percentage of 120 is 72. Figure it out. We'll talk about it in class. Here's some straight up practice. We have 26% of 50. That's pretty straightforward. And then we have what percent of 120 is 28 and 8/10. Go ahead and give it a crack, and I'll see you next time.